what level of energy are you bringing to your mission, to your calling? That's a question that a lot of us ask ourselves when we are trying to respond to this call that we all feel to make the world a better place. One of the most important things you can figure out if you want to maximize your impact and your joy, and that's what we're trying to do in this journey of joyful impact, is to first dial in your energy. And we're all the way here now in session 9 of this understanding and evolving your psychology curriculum. And what we want to do now is take a lot of the ideas we've worked with, human needs psychology, this idea of like rules, beliefs. We've worked on identifying the rules that you have for experiencing certain feelings. We've worked on the beliefs that you have, positive and negative, and how you can change those to better serve yourself and your joy and your impact. Now we want to really get practical and tactical. In session 9, we're going to look at energy. In session 10, we're going to look at impact. And in session 11, we're going to look at joy. In session 12, we'll put a bow on all of it. But today, we want to really dial in your mindset around showing up with maximum energy. And, this is just fundamental. Brian Johnson, in his work at Optimize Me, he talks a lot about 3 fundamentals, 3 areas of your life that you need to master: energy, work, and love. That's what he calls them. For us, in this work that we're doing with people who feel called to make the world a better place, we're thinking about energy, impact. That's the impact you have on your calling, and joy, which encompasses love and all the other things in your life that really make you feel fulfilled. So the first thing we want to do is really get clear about the difference between our state of mind and our mindset. And, we use a lot of material from cognitive behavioral psychology and therapy here. And this triangle, the thoughts, feelings, behaviors, this should be familiar by now, right? The idea is that in any given moment, your state of mind in that moment is determined by what you're thinking, what you're feeling, and what you're doing. And that if you want to change your state of mind in any given moment, you actually only have to change one of those 3 things. If you change what you're thinking, your state of mind will change. If you change what you're feeling, your state of mind will change. If you change what you're doing, your state of mind will change. We also talk a lot about the fact that one of the easiest ways to change your state of mind is actually to do something different or to think something different, because feelings often are a little more complex in their construction. It's harder for us to access our feelings and change them directly. And so very often what we want to focus on when we want to change our state of mind in the moment is to think something different or to do something different. Obviously, that's easier said than done, and a huge part of this journey of understanding and evolving our psychology is actually developing the ability in the moment to change our state of mind. When we find ourselves experiencing feelings we don't want, having thoughts that we don't want, or doing things that we later regret, we want to be able to, in the moment, interrupt ourselves, change our state of mind, and really shift ourselves. That is not easy to do, but a lot of the tools we've been talking about help you to do that. Help you to be more present in that moment and be able to literally be more mindful in choosing your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions. So that's a state of mind in the moment. But what is a mindset? Well, we can think of a mindset as really the product of your momentary state of mind over time. It's almost habituated. If you have certain patterns of thought, feeling, and action, they play out over time, and we have almost like a little equation down here. We have this kind of state of mind times your state of mind times your state of mind times your state of mind. It's almost exponential in a way, in that these patterns really reinforce themselves. And so if there are particular states that you find yourself in from moment to moment to moment, those tend to reinforce themselves. We also sometimes use the metaphor of like wearing a groove, right? Positive or negative, when you have a pattern of mind, it becomes established, and actually getting out of it, you've got to climb up a little bit to get out of it. And so what we're really playing for when it comes to understanding and evolving our psychology at the highest level is not just to be able to influence our own state of mind in the moment. It's actually to be able to build a positive mindset that serves to guide us in a particular area of our lives. So that's the other thing to think about, the difference between a state of mind and a mindset. A state of mind is defined by a moment in time. A mindset is really around an area of your life. And that's why we can have a certain pattern in one part of our lives, like our energy, right? And another pattern when it comes to our joy. And so these last sessions in this curriculum are really about dialing in the patterns that you have in these different areas of energy, impact, and joy, so that you can really become aware of your mindset and what you want to do to elevate that mindset, to build that up over time. In a way, what we're talking about here are habits of mind. Habits of mind are what make up your mindset. The thoughts, feelings, and actions that almost become automatic for you when you're in a given domain of your life. So there are some journaling questions that we're going to go through, and we'll walk through these right now. And then in the worksheet itself, the last page of it is a mindset map. So you're going to create, if you choose to, you can create literally like a one-pager. And I use mine. You know, you've probably seen me show this to you before. I carry this little binder around with me, and I actually print out these mindset maps and have them like this is my mindset map for my energized self. And so I've answered these journaling questions in the form of a one-pager, so that it's really as a way of like establishing those habits and building up that mindset, that I can literally remind myself, one page at a glance, all these different components that go into it. And if this feels like a lot, if you kind of can't imagine, filling out a worksheet like this, these questions are a great place to start. And for some of you, it may be simply questions to reflect on. Some of you like to reflect when you're on a run. Some of you like to reflect first thing in the morning. Maybe when you're just waking up in bed, there's a question that you'll sort of ask yourself. High quality questions are a huge piece of momentum you can give yourself in your life. And so really what we're trying to do here is put some questions out there. If you want to take it all the way and literally fill out a one page that's like a reference for you, God bless. I found that very powerful, but you don't have to do that to get something out of this exercise. So what are these questions? Well, the first one is really, what is your ultimate vision for yourself when it comes to being the engineer of your own power plant? We've talked about this, shifting this metaphor, that many of us think about our energy as like a battery, that we run it down every day and then we recharge by sleeping at night. And so when we get to the end of the day, if we have a low charge, then we need to just like not tax ourselves and get to bed early, just chill out in the evening. And relaxing in the evening can be a great thing. Brian Johnson talks a lot about digital sunset, turning off the electronics and just unplugging. But we want to shift the metaphor. And so when you think about your ultimate vision, think of yourself as an engineer of your power plant, meaning that you can control the output of energy from yourself, and you can adjust the energy to meet the demands that you have out in your life, to answer your calling with joy and with impact. And so try to really be specific. And as I'm doing this, I'll just share with you as an example, how I've answered these questions for myself. So the ultimate vision for my energized self. And what does it look like when you have the energy part of yourself really nailed? I am sleeping restfully through the night. I'm waking up and feeling great and refreshed and sustaining high energy throughout the day. I'm working out most days and moving my body throughout the day. This helps me feel active, energetic, attuned, creative, healthy, attractive, and dynamic. I get to create at my very highest level and show up as my best self with my loved ones. I have a deep well of patience, love, and empathy to share with those around me. So that's just my vision, right, for my most energized self. But you want to get that in mind, because that's what you're shooting for. That's what, in a way, like knowing your North Star actually pulls you forward. It actually gives you energy in itself to be clear about what it looks like for you to be energized. The next piece of this is why. Like, why is it so important that you operate at this level of energy? Really getting clear about that is very important. And just as an aside, what we're doing here is these are thoughts, right? We're working on the thoughts part of this mindset, right? Thoughts, feelings, and actions. We're going to get to feelings and actions as we move further down these prompts. But these first couple of questions are really about the thoughts that are going to really help you dial in your mindset. So the ultimate purpose for my energized self. I feel a deep calling to grow myself in order to contribute the very most I can to others and to a better world. And living out this calling starts with showing up as my best, most energized self. Bringing the joy and the impact is all about bringing the energy, right? So that's my why. And, it doesn't have to be fancy, but just being clear, again, about like, why does it matter that you show up with energy? Get your what and your why dialed in first. And this next question is about your energy identity, right? Um, and this is something that Tony Robbins, Brian Johnson, many people, going back to Richard Bandler, have really had the insight that language is incredibly powerful. The metaphors that you use really speak directly to your subconscious, and they can really activate your whole self. And so having fun with that and playing around with your language can really not just be fun and playful, but it can actually really help bring out even more positive energy. And so my energy identities, master's athlete, right? I'm over 40, and so but putting that qualifier in front of athlete for me is actually very energizing, because what it's really saying to me is like I can still show up as an athlete at this point in my life. And John Stone is another one. That's a college nickname. It's a little embarrassing to share it, but like when my college roommates saw me like really driving hard, that's what they used to call me. And so that name just like sort of reminds me of that intense energy that I can bring to something. Meditation master and sub 17er. That's my goal of running a 5K under 17 minutes. I've done it before. I want to do it again as a master's athlete. So those are just some examples of those identities that can really speak to you and can like elevate yourself in the moment. Like, hey, is that what a sub 17er would eat for dinner? And again, you want to do this in a loving and affirming way, but you can use those identities sometimes to step up your game at a critical moment and bring a little bit more energy. Next up is the key feelings and rules to energize yourself. So we've talked a lot about like what, the idea that we construct our feelings, and that feelings are basically how we interpret the world around us. We have a thought and then we have a feeling about that thought. And the reason that feelings are so powerful here is that you get to make up the rules for when and how and under what conditions you experience a certain feeling. And this is important when it comes to your energy, because there may be certain feelings that are really positively associated with you being energized. Getting clear about what the rules are for you to experience those feelings is important, so that you can optimize those rules, so that you can construct the rules in a way that they're relatively easy to fulfill, so that you get to experience those feelings more and more often in your life. So just to give you an example of that, one of my feelings is well-nourished. I want to feel well-nourished. Well, how do I define that? I am feeling well-nourished when I reduce my sugar and my garbage intake and eat whole foods and fast for 13 hours each night. So I try to like stop eating at like 7 p.m. and then not eat again until 8 a.m. There's a lot more on that in Brian Johnson's work on Nutrition 101. There's lots more out there. Whatever works for you, but like understanding what your rules are that really contribute to those feelings of well-being and energy. Rested, right? What does it take for you to feel rested? Figure that out for yourself. What does it take for you to feel calm, right? And make sure your rules, you have sort of clarity about that, so that you can experience those feelings as much as possible. The next one is about actions, right? Go-to actions to energize yourself. So we talked about thoughts, right? We covered kind of your vision, your identity, your purpose or your why as thoughts. We talked about your feelings. Now we're going to talk about actions, remembering that triangle, right? Those three things that really, if you do them over time, create your mindset. And go-to actions to energize yourself. So what actions are most important for you to take on a consistent basis when it comes to maximizing your energy? What are your kind of go-to power moves? Or, Tony Robbins calls them 3 to thrive, right? If you just do these 3 things every day, you're going to feel energized. So for me, it's running several times a week. It's doing like high intensity interval work or flexibility work, even just for 7 minutes, some kind of thing like that every day. 10,000 steps per day. So many of us with Apple Watches are fixated on that, or at least have a way of tracking that. Another great one is movement every 30 minutes. I'm breaking that rule perhaps on a Zoom call, but even if I'm sitting there, there's still ways that you can move your legs, and actually physically, even micro movements can really on a cellular level tell your body like, hey, we're not just vegging out here, there's still something going on. So you want to think about what are those actions that if you do them consistently, they contribute to your sense of energy and really showing up with the energy that you want. Next one on is this idea of energy kryptonite, right? And Brian Johnson talks a lot about this, others as well, like in the science of habit formation. If you figure out like what really is the opposite of what you want to do, what thoughts, feelings, and behaviors take energy away from you, and then what are your cures for those kryptonites? Meaning, what rules can you set up? What kind of automatic algorithms can you set up that, hey, if I feel myself, feeling the urge to do X, then I'm going to do Y instead. And so thinking about, for all of us, there's a couple of things. Like for me, I've really realized like I get much better sleep if, the reason that I do that fast from 7 to 8 a.m. is that just I sleep so much better if I stop eating by 7 or 8 at the latest, right? And so my my reminder, right, is just like, hey, if I feel that urge to snack, I'm like, oh, wait a minute. I know that if I do that, I'm going to wake up tomorrow morning, I'm not going to feel as good. And so it may still be tempting, and there are times when I'll still break down and eat something. But the idea is that you are, over time, as you build this up as a mindset, it's actually not requiring willpower in some extraordinary degree to stick with these things. They become automatic. And that's sort of the power of installing algorithms or like automatic rules. Like, hey, if I start to feel myself, if I feel this kryptonite coming on, then I'm going to do X, or I'm going to feel Y, or I'm going to think something else. And then the last piece is resources to rally. Like what's out there in your world that you can harness, other people, places, things that can help you show up as your most energized self, that can help reinforce these thoughts, these feelings, and these actions that over time build up this mindset of your most energized self. And a lot of times we forget about all of the amazing stuff we have in our lives that will help us do this. Everything from a physical therapist to a pair of running shoes to a buddy that you stay in touch with, and maybe it's as simple as like you have someone paired up with you on your Apple Watch and you're checking your steps and texting back and forth or something like that. It can be simple. So I encourage you to, if you want to take the step of actually filling this out as a one-pager, I find that if I journal about this stuff, and then I can kind of distill it into a one-pager, and that one-pager can then be a great just map for you. And you can keep tweaking it over time, but it really can give you just an overview of the fundamentals that you want to put in place for yourself that you're already doing in many cases, or that you know how to do, so that you can show up with your most energized self. And as we'll talk about in the next session, bringing that energy is fundamental to maximizing your joy and your impact as well. If you like this video and you want to access the worksheet or any other material that goes with it, just click the link below, or head on over to joyfulimpact.co. That's the website where we have all the material we use for working with coaching and personal development for change agents. You can set up a free account in the members area, and you can also check out the blog where we have new content coming out all the time. Why are we putting all this out there for free? Because the world has never been more in need of a new greatest generation of change agents. I hope this material is helpful to you, and if it is, please like the video, subscribe to the channel. That will help us spread the word.